You were fired up there at the end of practice, it looked like.
No, yeah, it was good. No, it was a good thing.
It was a
We've
good
had a
thing.
good week of
Okay.
practice. Yeah, we just got to have an attitude and play that way. We got to play with an attitude. I mean, we've played good at times. We've just given up some plays, and that's what I told the guys. The plays we've given up, we practice. That's the disappointing thing. It's just we got to go with an attitude that we're going to go play great defense and do our job and rally to the football and do the things that we do and what we're used to doing around here. So that's kind of really what it is. It's a big game. It's a big game. We could impact this league, with going down there. But we need to do it for ourselves. I'm not worried about the league. We need to impact it for ourselves. So take another step to, hopefully get bowl eligible and those type of things. But we've got our work cut out. This Duke's an outstanding football team. They're well coached. They've got, they're very, very good up front. They're a veteran group. They've got a good quarterback. I'm impressed with their running backs. They do it by committee, and then obviously the three, Jameson, he's an outstanding playmaker. The guy that's really stepped up the last couple of weeks, though, has been the Blackney kid. So, you get, he's a big target that's really kind of a big, long body that's kind of grown into his body, and you see him, he's developed into another playmaker for him. So, just a very good football team. They're nothing flashy. They take what the defense gives you, and they're good at it. They're good at it. Quarterback's an accurate guy. He can run enough to be a problem. Not that he does it a whole lot, but he does it enough to make you be accountable for him. So just a complete offensive football team, which I'm really impressed with.
What's Chase's status?
Chase, he's practiced this week. I think he feels good that he can come in and probably end up being a backup if we need to, right now. I really feel, Andrew, and I said this, I thought he took, usually a guy or a team, or individuals improve from week 1 to week 2. And I tell you, from his first week from Miami to the next week showed a tremendous improvement. And I'm hoping he's going to continue. This will be just game 3 under his belt. But I've seen a guy that's more confident in practice, trusts his reads and playing fast and doing those things. So I'm hoping he's going to do that on Saturday. But Chase feels a lot better about himself. He did about half the team time that he was allowed to do, just to give D-Mac a little bit of reps too, and in case Chase feels like he can't go. But I think he's going to feel like he could step up and be a guy if we needed to in an emergency, and then just continue to get better as we go down the stretch here.
What's the difference in preparing? You had Pittsburgh and Connor, and it's a focal point, and in Miami and Duke Johnson, it's a focal point. Duke, not so much when we look at it, not so much anybody who's a focal point. What's the difference?
Well, you just got to be sound all the way around. They're, like I said, their quarterback's a winning guy, a lot of experience. Their backs are, they're rushing for 200 yards a game, just run the zone play. That goes back to their front being very good. It goes back to their backs because they all, their leading rushers, that true freshman, number 29, I forget his name, but he's averaging 9.2 yards a touch, running the zone play. Okay, I'm talking inside the box. Got great feet, he's a little bit, reminds me of Duke Johnson a little bit. Got great quickness, great vision, great acceleration. Then you got a couple big backs that what they do, they wash you and do some things or stress you, and if you don't get a good lick on them, they're satisfied to run for 4 or 5 yards, which that's enough, man. It makes it 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 4 or 3rd and 1. They're patient to do that, and then if you play off coverage, they're going to or load up the box, they're going to throw it outside, to the receivers, and so they're just we've got to be sound fundamentally all the way around right here, because that's what they're like I said, they'll take what you give them. If you load up the box, they're good enough with Jameson to throw it deep, or with Blackney right now. If you go outside and they're able to spread you out and run the ball up inside with it, those guys plus the quarterback being a factor guy, so they're just, you got to defend it all when it's all said and done.
I guess you and Charlie and Frank were the guys that got really good looks at Wade Hanson's video coming out of RPI. What did you see that kind of made you think that he could be a contributor at that time on the defensive side?
You saw a guy that was rugged, played extremely hard. It was very important to him. Tough, we thought he could be a guy that, he wanted to transfer, looked for a place. He felt like he was a little better than where he was playing. And, he was a good football player at that level, kind of a notch above. We thought he'd be a guy that could come in defensively and maybe give us some added depth inside, being a rugged guy. And then what ended up happening, obviously, we started getting some guys hurt and dinged up and whatnot. And, he was going to end up, we got a couple guys passed him by athletically a little bit in defensive tackle. And, but good enough movement offensively. But the only thing you get is you got very little experience. He's been a defensive guy. And, unfortunately, that's kind of been our theme a little bit as a football team this year, with some nicks and, guys getting beat up and whatnot. And you lose a guy like McLaughlin that's, started, for, the better part of 2 years he's been here, so that's a big loss for us. But Wade will be a guy that will fight his tail off. That's the one thing I do know about the kid. It's important to him. He doesn't want to let his teammates down, but he's earned this spot because he's worked at it, which gives him a lot of credit for what he's done since he's been here.
I don't think Duke had 200 yards against you guys in the game last year. When you look back at the losses last year, is that one that sticks out in your mind?
Not necessarily, because, it was, we played a great football game. But, we picked him 4 times and had several sacks. And, it's just, it is what it is, And, but yeah, we played a great football game, and we've done that over the years here, and had some heartbreakers, but yeah, that was a tough loss, because that game, when it's all said and done, might have made a difference in us playing, Florida State and Charlotte, so Duke ended up doing that, but yeah, that one's in the past. It's a whole different defense. There's about 9 new faces out there, 8 new faces that are playing a significant role for the first time against these guys. So it's a whole different group.
You talked about playing with an attitude. Is that part of it? Some of the players mentioned you kind of went back to the basics during the bye week.
Yeah.
Is that
well? That's part of it. We were as basic as you could get against BC. You had to give up a couple plays. And it's just, it costs you a football game, and that's the one thing we can't do. And that's been our nemesis defensively this year. You go back to the Georgia Tech game, it was a big fourth, and, that game should have been over. But, though that's just been, we play, you play 60 plays and you play 56 of them great, but 4 of them, you don't play well, and that could be enough to be 21 points or, 24 points or 28 points, and that's enough to beat you, so that's where we've got to be. We can't give up the big plays, and that's been our nemesis this year with a young group.
So can you start by giving us a quick overview scouting report of Duke's defense, what they do well, what they look like?
They are a bend but don't break defense. They are 11th in the country in scoring. They keep you out of the end zone. They play really good third down defense. I think they're 37% on third down. They get you off the field, and they're efficient on offense. They get you off the field. They're not turning the ball over, and they get turnovers. I said to our offense tonight, if you look at it, they're averaging only 20 more yards than us on offense. The difference between us and them is the turnover margin, and that's why they're winning right now. And football hasn't changed in 250 years. If you don't turn it over and you run it somewhat efficiently, you got a chance to win a lot of games, and that's what they're doing right now, playing good defense and keeping you out of the end zone.
I know you probably didn't envision him starting when you guys made the switch in August, but what did you see in Wade Hanson you thought that he could contribute as a lineman?
We saw Wade, in all actuality, as a guy that we would develop, get him in the weight room, get him bigger, and would have a really good opportunity to play next year. That's what we saw. We saw a guy that was very athletic, can bend, can move. He was a defensive lineman that had athletic ability, and I thought it was a great switch. And because where we're at, he's playing, and he'll fight. He'll be relentless. It's really important to him, and I think down the road you're going to have a really good offensive lineman when it's all said and done.
Will you do anything, tailor anything to help him out?
Yeah, of course you would. Last week he did a really good job considering like I've said all year long, last week's defensive coordinator, in terms of difficult scheme, it's him and Bud in this conference in terms of just playing, just flat problems everywhere. And I thought he did a good job versus a very, very problematic defense. It was, I said it last year, I'll say it again, it's a problem defense, and I thought he held his own.
That Duke game last year, I mean, was there a tougher loss you think you guys took last year?
Nope. I thought, well, every loss is tough, but I thought it was you win that game, I think we were, 14th, 13th, something in that. Yeah, whatever we were in the country. I thought that loss was significant. I didn't think we played well last year in that game at all. And we had I watched the game actually Sunday, and it's the same thoughts that I had whenever I spoke with you guys after the game. There was opportunities to win the game all over the yard, and we didn't do it. And that's the difference between winning and losing. We just didn't play well in that football game.
Do you sense that sticks with guys at all? I mean, do they need more motivation than just trying to end the losing streak right now?
You know, as many young faces as we have, they weren't here. The older guys, they know, and you know, every game's important. Every game's a new challenge, and it's a new season, new faces. But you know, the guys that were here, obviously, that one stung.
You had the offense in the stadium.
Yeah, we do every Wednesday.
What, was there something on the scoreboard different? It was flashing. I don't know if it's just
I
dark.
think it was because the lights were on. They put everything on though. So.
Oh, so it wasn't anything you were doing with them?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I know you obviously focus on their defense, but Coach Cutcliffe, what he does offensively, I don't know if that's something you've looked at in off seasons. What's your sort of take on him?
I've always studied a lot what he did. Because we had very similarities when I was at Michigan, when he was at Tennessee. So, I mean, it was the same off. He's changed just like we've changed. Football's changed, but I've always thought he was a really, really good coach, really disciplined. Just a good football coach. I mean, in every aspect of the word. He's getting everything out of his guys right now. He's got a senior group on both sides of the ball. The only guys on the defensive side of the ball that are young are the back end. The back end is all sophomores, and they've got one, I believe, is a defensive tackle that's a sophomore, and everybody else is old. And on offense, they're old. So they've been in his system for 4 years now. Is it 4 or 5, something of that nature? And it's been that longer now. Years run together. Don't take offense to that. But my moral of the story is they're seniors. They've been in the system. They know what he wants done. They're efficient. Just what I said, the differences between us and them is they're not having negative plays and they're not turning the ball over. I think they have 35 negative plays on the entire season, which is awesome. But we're just efficient, and he's a good coach.
He's got a rep, obviously, for being a quarterback developer.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is the fact he's had really good guys to work with over the years too. But what does he do that sort of sets him apart from?
I've always thought, just like I said, the guys that he's had and I had have always been that bigger guy, more of a passer than a runner, and obviously that's changed where he's at now. That guy can do both. He can run and pass. So whenever I was young and we had all those guys that we had back at the places that I've been, I studied them because we were so similar in terms of the style of guy that we had and the style of how we played. The Peyton Mannings of the world are the quarterbacks that I've, those type of guys, the bigger, not necessarily runs 4.5, 4.6, and staying in the pocket and throwing. And he's done a great job with the Manning boys, and he's just a really good football coach. A lot of respect for him.
Do you sense Brewer maybe gain some confidence? Not gain some confidence is the wrong word, but just gain something from that BC game?
I thought he played really, really well. Obviously not perfect, but really efficient. I thought Logan the year before played really well, minusing the two plays. So the difference is in the Boston College game with Logan and Brewer is that Michael didn't turn the ball over. And but I thought he really did a good job again for such a problematic defense. The guy that was that did our game, that was a quarterback at Wake Forest, the first thing he said to me when I walked in was, he goes, "Problematic," and I go, "Yeah," because he played him whenever he was whenever Coach Brown was at Maryland. Very problematic. So, when a quarterback guy goes, "It's problematic," it's problematic. So.
What do you want? What do you hope to see from him here down these last 3 games? Bowl game,
Consistency. I want to see him play similar to how he played in the Boston College game, and you get a grade sheet. You have 6 or 7 mistakes. You want to chop those and to get those down to 3, get them down to 4. Just keep reducing the errors and taking care of the football and leading our young guys. That's at the end of the day his job.
He threw so many interceptions early and has really gotten that, it seems like, under control.
Yeah.
How much of that is the other guys around him doing more of what they're supposed to? How much is he making better?
I think it's a combination of all the above. You're running out there with 3 guys that have played football for the first time. And you have a quarterback that's walking into a brand new system that was here in June. So I think it's a lot of combination of a lot of things, but he's starting to feel more comfortable. He's starting to get it. He's a smart guy. He's a cerebral guy. But learning that the quarterback position doesn't happen overnight, and the more he plays, the better he's going to get.
Have you decided what you would do if you got down to a 3rd string?
We absolutely have, and we're not going to comment on it and it's not to not tell you. It's a major disadvantage for us to put that out there. It's a major disadvantage because if you go one direction, if we say that one direction, that's how they're going to game plan. If we go this direction, they're going to totally go different. So we don't want to put that out there at all. But there is a significant plan of how we would do it. But I just, and again, that's not to be a pain, but there's no value.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say Motley is a little bit different player than Brewer? And is there any scenario where you would give Motley a series, change of pace kind of thing, or are you not into that?
Typically, haven't been into that. I normally like one guy out there, but we'll see. You never know. So we'll see where we go with that.